The story kicks off with a tense scene. 13-year-old Becky sits in front of police officers who pepper her with questions about something that went down in the woods. She stares back blankly, insisting she doesn't remember a thing. From here, the movie takes us 2 weeks back to show how everything spiraled out of control. Becky's dad shows up at school to grab her for what's supposed to be a special father-daughter weekend. While she's climbing into the car, somewhere else in town, a prison transport van rumbles down the road. Inside sit 5 inmates shackled together. 4 of them belong to the same crew, a group loyal to Dominic, a cold-eyed ex-con with a twisted obsession with Nazi ideology. His followers include Apex, Cole, and Hammond. The 5th man is just some poor soul stuck on a ride with them. The quiet doesn't last long. Apex suddenly lunges and strangles the outsider until he's knocked unconscious, nearly killing him. Dominic calmly calls out to the driver, pretending something's wrong, forcing the van to pull over. At that same time, Becky and her dad stop at a nearby gas station. Becky wanders off, stealing a pack of gummy worms while the TV inside blares out breaking news about a prison escape. She ignores it, too distracted by watching a cheerful family wearing matching shirts walk by. The sight cuts deep. Her mom passed away from cancer a year earlier, and Becky is still reeling. She slips away to rewatch an old video of her mom on her phone, craving a connection she can't get back. Back on the road, Becky grows restless when she realizes where they're heading: the lake house. The place holds heavy memories of her mom, and she's furious, convinced her dad plans to sell it. He reassures her that he's decided to keep it. For a moment, Becky's walls drop, and she hugs him tightly, comforted by the thought. That warmth fades as another car pulls into the driveway. Out steps Kayla, her dad's new girlfriend, and her young son Tyler. They greet Becky kindly, but she stays icy, making it clear she has no interest in accepting them. Their dog Dora bounces happily between them, but the atmosphere is awkward. Becky's dad nudges her to call Diego, their other dog, hoping to lighten the mood. Meanwhile, Dominic and Apex set their plan in motion. They dress up like police officers, flagging down a driver on a rural road. When the man steps out, Dominic smashes his skull with ruthless efficiency, leaving his children screaming in the back seat. The brutality shows just what kind of monsters these men are. Back at the lake house, Becky keeps her distance during dinner. Her father tries to break the silence, reminding her how hard the last year has been. He urges her to start moving forward with life. Then he drops a bomb. He and Kayla are engaged. Becky's face hardens, fury bubbling over. Without a word, she storms out with Diego, retreating deep into the woods to her childhood playhouse. Inside, her grief boils over until her eyes fall on an old painting her mom once made. It sparks a memory of them together at the hospital, her mom weak but still singing to her. The flood of emotions overwhelms her. Back at the front door, Kayla makes a mistake. She opens it to Dominic, who pretends he's just looking for a lost dog. His mask slips when he cruelly insults Dora, calling mixed-breed dogs weak. Becky's dad bristles and demands he leave. Before he can react, Apex suddenly attacks, choking him unconscious. The crew pushes inside. Dominic orders Apex to finish Kayla, but Apex hesitates. Instead of killing her, he smashes her phone and snarls at her to run, giving her a slim chance at survival. Dora bolts after her into the woods. In the shadows, Becky overhears 2 of the men, Cole and Hammond, crossing paths with Kayla and Tyler. When they ask what they're doing out there, Tyler innocently says they're looking for Becky. Thinking quickly, Kayla lies and claims Becky is the dog's name. But Cole spots Dora trailing behind and, with cruel indifference, shoots her. Becky sees the entire thing from her hiding place, paralyzed with shock. Quietly, she leaves Diego in the safety of her playhouse and slips toward the house. Through the window, Becky sees her dad, Kayla, and Tyler held hostage in the living room. One of the men reports that they killed a dog named Becky. Dominic corrects him. The Becky they need is the daughter. He makes it clear they're not after the family themselves. He's searching for something specific. Kayla whispers that they're doomed anyway since the men won't let them live after showing their faces. Dominic stomps into the basement to search for a hidden tin box, only to find it empty. Becky sneaks upstairs in her bedroom, only to freeze when she hears Dominic climbing the basement ladder, which leads directly into her room. She grabs her walkie-talkie, hiding under the window as he peers outside suspiciously. Soon after, Dominic announces he's found Becky's backpack. Inside it is her phone, proving she's nearby. He demands the strange key marked with a symbol. Her father tries bluffing, saying Becky is in Atlanta with her mom. Dominic doesn't buy it. To force the truth, he shoots Kayla in the thigh. Her screams echo through the house. Unable to take it anymore, Becky speaks into her walkie, bluffing that she's already at the neighbor's house and has called the police. The men waver for a moment, but Dominic sees through it. He reminds them the nearest neighbor is more than a mile away, so Becky must still be hiding on the property. He drags her father outside to the fire pit, where he launches into a twisted speech. He calls Cole, Hammond, and Apex his adopted children, boasting about their loyalty. Now, he says, it's Becky's turn to prove her devotion. If she wants her dad alive, she'll hand over what was in the tin box. Her father refuses to beg. Dominic presses a hot poker to his cheek, burning his flesh. Becky listens, horrified, as her father finally gets a chance to speak, but instead of telling her to give up the key, he urges her to run. Dominic's face twists with rage. He plunges a knife into her father's stomach, leaving him bleeding in the dirt. Desperate, Becky scrambles to the playhouse to get the key, but before she reaches it, her father breaks free and stumbles into the woods. They reunite briefly. He hugs her, whispering that he loves her, before Dominic appears and guns him down. Becky's world shatters. Fueled by pure rage, she drives the key straight into Dominic's eye. Screaming in pain, he staggers back, blood pouring down his face. Dominic, half-blind and shrieking, demands Hammond cut out the dangling eyeball. Hammond fumbles with scissors, so Dominic furiously grabs a knife and does it himself. Now monstrous in appearance and even more unhinged, he orders the crew to hunt Becky down. By the lake, Becky struggles to catch her breath, her grief crashing over her in waves. Then Cole's mocking voice crackles through the walkie-talkie, taunting her. The nightmare isn't close to being over. Becky catches sight of Cole creeping through the trees. Her stomach knots, but instead of waiting for him to find her, she dashes into her old playhouse where Diego waits. The dog growls low, ready to protect her, and that alone makes Cole freeze at the edge of the clearing. He's petrified of dogs, his fear written all over his face. Desperate to keep some control, he tries bargaining, shouting up at her. If she just hands over the key, he swears nobody will get hurt. But the moment he drags her stepmom into the promise, Becky's expression hardens. Kayla isn't her mother. Her mother's gone, and Becky refuses to let anyone trample on that memory. Gripping a jagged ruler like a weapon, she makes up her mind. She'll fight if she has to. To distract him, she flicks a coin into the woods, and when his eyes follow the sound, she seizes her chance. Becky leaps from the playhouse on a zip line, crashing into him with all the fury she has bottled up. The ruler jabs deep into his body. Fueled by grief and rage, she stabs again and again until Cole stops moving, his body slumping lifeless on the ground. The girl who just seemed like a scared teenager is gone. In her place is someone who will kill to survive. Meanwhile, inside the house, Apex is crouched next to Kayla, trying to slow the bleeding in her leg. She doesn't waste the opportunity. She talks quickly, telling him he doesn't have to keep following Dominic, that she can see he's not like the others. He still has a choice. She insists, still has a piece of humanity left. For a second, it seems to reach him. His face softens just slightly. But Dominic storms in, destroying the moment. He shoves a gun into Apex's hands and even presses the barrel against his own chest. He reminds Apex of the 9 years they spent behind bars, the loyalty that kept them alive, and the plan they've built for years. Dominic snarls that he'd rather die than be betrayed. Caught between guilt and fear, Apex lowers his eyes and pledges his loyalty again, though the hesitation is obvious. Out in the dark, Becky creeps back toward the lake house. She places a walkie-talkie on the porch, her voice crackling through with icy calm. She tells Dominic that she's capable of things he wouldn't believe, things that should scare even him. The words rattle him more than he lets on. He tries to use Kayla as a tool, forcing her to talk Becky down, but Kayla shakes her head. Their bond is too fractured. Becky would never listen. Frustrated, Dominic orders his men to finish the job, unaware that Becky is already laying traps by the water. Hammond stumbles across Cole's butchered body and panics, only to hear Becky's footsteps. She deliberately lets him see her, luring him to the dock. He charges after her, but doesn't notice the fishing line stretched across the boards. He trips, crashing onto a plank studded with nails. As he writhes, Becky slams him with another spikeboard. When he rallies and lunges, she leaps onto his back. Off balance, Hammond tumbles into the lake, thrashing and screaming that he can't swim. Becky doesn't flinch. Coldly, She fires up a motorboat and drives it toward him, letting the spinning propeller shred him beneath the water. The surface ripples red as Hammond sinks out of sight. On her way back, Becky runs into Apex. Diego charges in to protect her, but Apex swats the dog aside and seizes Becky, slamming her down. For a moment, it looks like this is the end, but then he hesitates. He looks at her, sees the fire in her eyes, and instead of finishing the job, he tells her quietly not to lose herself the way he did. Killing leaves scars, he says, almost like a confession. Then he lets her go and walks away, defying Dominic at last. Behind her, Diego stirs, still alive. Relief flashes across her face, but the moment is brief. As night falls, Becky finds her father's body. Kneeling beside him, she sobs, apologizing, clutching his keys with trembling hands. Her grief hardens into focus. She knows what she has to do. Back at the house, she signals Kayla and Tyler from outside, but Dominic barges in before she can get to them. Kayla tries distracting him, demanding to know why he's doing this. His answer is sickening. He declares himself a white supremacist and insists the key is the start of something much bigger, a tool to fuel his twisted cause. Disgust twists Kayla's face, and she spits insults at him until he lunges. A car alarm blares, breaking the moment. While Dominic checks outside, Kayla crawls into the kitchen, sawing at her ropes with a knife. She frees herself and Tyler, just as Dominic tangles with Diego in the lot. Mistaking the dog for Apex, he slams the car door on him, then turns, convinced Becky is hiding inside a nearby vehicle. He raises his gun, but out of nowhere, Becky slams another car into him, ramming him hard into a tree. The smart car's emergency system triggers, a robotic voice alerting authorities. Becky doesn't stop. She grabs a gas can from the garage and sets up her final move. She sings softly, luring Dominic toward the fire pit. We find her calmly waiting. He doesn't attack. Instead, he praises her ruthlessness, saying she belongs with him, that he could be her new father now that her real parents are gone. Becky's lip curls. She raises a toy Nerf gun rigged with gasoline and blasts him, setting him ablaze. Dominic rolls on the ground, smothering the flames, then charges at her again, snatching the key and raising his gun. At the last second, Apex intervenes, blocking him. Dominic rages, demanding his loyalty, but Apex won't budge. Dominic shoots him and turns the weapon back on Becky. She scrambles to the garage, firing up a lawnmower. As Apex weakens Dominic in a final grapple, Becky drives forward, mowing Dominic down in a brutal finish. The fight is over. Apex, bleeding out, apologizes with his last breath. Becky stares at him, cold, and pulls the trigger one last time, ending his life. Then she looks at the strange key, turning it in her hand, her face unreadable. Moments later, Kayla and Tyler find her by the barn. The sirens are closing in. When the police finally sit her down to ask what happened, Becky's eyes are empty. She claims she remembers nothing, her voice flat. One officer studies her a little too long, unsettled by the thought that maybe this girl isn't just a survivor. Maybe she's something far darker. And that's where the film leaves us,